All right. Well, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Wise Women Do podcast interview series. I am your host, Pamela McKinney, and we are produced by Linda J. Thomas. This is a space where we speak to business minded women and the men who support them to be enlightened by the adversities we all face, but in their journey, we reveal how they navigated through to stay the course and reach their ultimate goals. So today I am so thrilled, just absolutely thrilled to welcome my soror, Karen Scott-Greene. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I was already excited to do this interview. And then when I
Yes.
found out that you are a member of the greatest sorority ever, Beta Phi Beta Sorority
Yes.
Incorporated, like myself, I
Yes.
knew that I was in good hands for this interview.
Hmm.
Thank you, Sora, for having me.
Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
So you are the owner of AkosawaHosey.com. It's a design fashion brand. Tell us what sparked the initial vision of your creative side and what inspired you to this venture into this creative space along with your established legal career. Please tell us.
Thank you. So my husband and well, I've always loved fashion and particularly African fashion. I've probably been wearing African clothing for like the last 30 years.
Hmm.
Um, and I like to get pieces made. So my husband and I traveled to Ghana in October, and we had a naming ceremony, and I was named Akosua Hosi. Akosua is because I am Sunday born. So if you're born on Sunday and you're female in the Akan tradition, then your name is Akosua.
Hmm.
And Hosi is the second name that I was given, and it means rich woman. So not necessarily, and so it also has has meaning for like nobility, and but it mainly means like someone who's rich with family, love, heritage, that sort of thing.
Mm.
So during our naming ceremony, we each were charged with a responsibility
Oh,
to help Ghana build,
yes.
not just come and be a tourist, but to help her. And my husband and I took that to heart. And I've been trying to figure out, how can I give back? How can I pour in to Ghana? And what he and I came up with was this clothing line. And so
Mm.
we work with local businesses. They're in Accra to manufacture the clothing. So I gave them my designs,
Hmm.
chose the fabric, and they're making the clothing. So I'm working now with two women-owned businesses, and they
Hmm.
also employ other women that sew for them. So I'm supporting the economy there in Accra. And the person who makes our handbags and jewelry in Accra, he also employs other people who he gets his leather from, and they make the straps, and he gets the cloth
Wow.
from local merchants. So it's very much a local thing. And then I've also partnered with two women in Kenya that I get my jewelry from and my handbags. So right now we are supporting small businesses in Kenya
Wow.
and Ghana. And I would love to be able, depending upon what this administration is going to do with tariffs, I would
Hmm.
love to be able to expand across the continent to be able to work with other countries.
Hmm.
And part of giving back to Ghana, a portion of the proceeds will go to support two charities, two schools there in Ghana. One
Oh,
is in Ivory Coast, in Cape Coast, which is the Cape Coast School for the blind, and the second is the Kumasi Children's Home, which is in Kumasi, Ghana.
wow.
And so we hope to be able, well, not hope to be able, but we will be supporting those schools
Absolutely.
with proceeds from our line.
That's wonderful. Then you jumped right into my next question where you expanded on the beautiful names, but also how it reflects the ethos and the aesthetics of your design fashion brand. So it all just kind of is a closed loop circle where you're
Yes,
supporting and giving back, and it extends in more than one way. So I love that.
yes.
Absolutely.
And that is very important and true to me.
Hmm.
that I've always felt a connection and a kinship to Africa even before I went.
Yes, yes.
And then when I went, I felt like this was home. I felt I may never be able to afford to live there, but I
Hmm.
felt that connection. And so we're going again in May.
Okay.
And we're going to meet with some more manufacturers. And we also want to be able to take checks to the two schools.
Oh,
Um, the first in many to come. That is our prayer.
absolutely. And this is kind of off the, off our questions, but I really am interested. How do you get the brand out there? I mean, where can people find you here to continue to support? And I know we gave the website as well.
So you can find us on the website,
Yes.
acosiahosi.com. And we are
Right.
also on social media. We're on TikTok,
Hmm.
IG, Facebook, and
Okay.
so acosiahosi.com. And the IG is acosia_hosi.
Okay.
Yes.
And I
And
think I saw you participating in some expos and things like that as
yes,
well
so
around
we
town.
just this past week we did our first vending opportunity at the
Okay.
Atlanta Vegan Festival.
Oh,
And yeah, and so this Saturday we will be at the it is the Habitat for Humanity, the DeKalb Habitat for Humanity Blue Jeans Barbecue and Blueprints
okay.
Festival. So
Wow.
it's a music festival, and it's to give honor to the volunteers um, that have provided service to
Mhm.
Atlanta, the Habitat for Humanity. And so we'll be vending there. We'll be out there with handbags, jewelry, and with the clothing. So
Phenomenal.
stop by and see us
Stop
from
by and
12 to
see.
5.
That's right. That's right. And buy something.
Yes, and buy something.
Well, you have mentioned that you're going back to Africa in May. So obviously there's a significant influence there. How have your experiences, again, you touched on it with the culture that you've encountered over the continent and shaped your designs? And I mean, I think I guess what I'm asking about is there a specific textile or pattern or artistic tradition that you're keeping inspired through your creations?
So all of the fabric is sourced
Hmm.
from Ghana.
Okay.
And we're using some batik. We use Ankara, which is what this dress is, Ankara. And batik is more like what we would think of like a tie dye, where they take the print and they stamp it.
Hmm.
So those materials are made there in Ghana,
Okay.
and the manufacturers that we're using source all of their material from Ghana, because China has come in
Mm.
and they flooded the market in Africa with Ankara prints.
Mm.
And so the manufacturers that we are working with are keeping true to the traditional fabric, and we are using traditional fabric in all of our clothing.
That's very important. That's very
It
important.
is.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
So you co-host the podcast on Spotify and other platforms called Conversations with Karen and Kat with Kat Hardrick.
Yes.
Hardrick, right? Okay. Well, I've learned that you two met on the campaign trail. Can you share the story of how your connection formed and what inspired you to transition those insightful campaign conversations into a public podcast?
So I met Kat, as we call her. Her name is Catherine. So I met her at a campaign event, actually,
Mhm.
for, I could say it now, it's for the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And she was thinking about running, and we struck up a conversation, me, her, and some other folks. And we kept in contact, but because we had a great conversation that night. And so whenever I would see her, we would have these wonderful conversations. She helped me on my campaign. I helped her on her campaign.
Mhm.
And after my campaign ended, I asked her, so what do you think about doing a podcast? We can keep these conversations going. And we had met some really dynamic people doing incredible things in the community, folks who were feeding people out of their own pockets, folks who were clothing other people, folks who were helping young people. And we wanted to tell their stories. And that's how
Yes.
Conversations with Karen and Kat came about. And so we like to say that we talk to agitators and policymakers. And we talk to people who point fingers in folks' faces
Mhm.
in the legislature.
Okay.
and in the community, in their city halls as well, and
Mm-hmm.
their county commission meetings, folks who are doing things. And
Yes.
if you are someone who is about who has found a way to solve a problem in in your segment of the world, we want to
Mm-hmm.
talk to you.
Oh, I love that.
That's what Conversations with Karen and Kat is about.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you said the finger pointers, because you're
Yeah.
holding people accountable. And, a lot of people do not stand, enough people don't stand
Yes.
up to that point to toe the line and say what is going on here, or to hold their own Congress representatives
Hmm.
accountable. If you want change, you've got to get involved. You've got to stop being complicit.
Yes. 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 And
So,
if you met my co-host, Catherine, you would definitely understand like
mhm.
why that is so, because she is one of those finger pointers, and
All right.
they can't stand her at her local city hall, because she is always like, she goes to all the city hall meetings, and she's there, where is the money? Follow the
Yeah.
money, and
Yeah.
that's her. And I
Yeah.
love her for that.
Hmm. Again, we need more of that.
Yes.
If you don't know how to get involved, then people, I'm sure, can reach out to you, or just really just listen.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll get some ideas of how to get involved.
Yes. And because
Well, that's
one of the things that we're telling people, particularly in this political climate,
mhm, mhm.
is think globally, but act locally.
Okay.
So get involved in the politics on your local level. Find out what's going on in your city hall. Find out what's going on in your county commission, and then move it over to the state legislature.
Mhm,
If you can't get to the state legislature because your capital is far away from where you may be situated, or
mhm.
living, then definitely get involved in what's going on in your community. you know,
Right.
and we can't stress that enough. And if you don't know where to start,
Mhm.
get involved with an organization who's already doing the work. You do not have to reinvent the wheel.
That's right.
NAACP, LCU, ACLU. There are other organizations, Urban League, that are actually doing the work.
Mhm.
Get involved. You're not having to reinvent the wheel. Somebody has already started doing it. You can just get in
Yes.
where you fit in.
Just get in. Just
Yes.
do something.
Do something
Do something.
rather than
Yeah.
just complaining about what's going on.
That's right. I mean, my next two questions you've pretty much touched on, and that's great because we can go deeper in just the messaging and the insight that you hope your listeners take away from tuning in with Conversations with Karen and Kat. Just, what are the takeaways that you really want them to walk away? And you really touched on it
Yeah,
already.
we want to empower people to act in their own communities.
Mm-hmm.
That is really like, if they hear nothing else, we are always giving nuggets of how you can plug in.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody can sit and complain about like what's going on today.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you going to do differently? How are you going to make a change? And so at each show, that is really what motivates us to get information out. And if we're not the ones bringing the information, we have someone on who is offering solutions because
Yeah.
they're already doing the work.
I love it.
So
Yes,
there's no
yes.
reinventing the wheel. We're talking to people who are doing the work. We talk to people who are working in the school to prison, stopping the school to prison pipeline, folks who are concerned about literacy rates, folks that are concerned about poverty, about
Mm-hmm.
veterans. You name it. We've in the last, because we started our podcast in 2022. So
Mm-hmm.
in the last 3 years, like, we've had a gamut of folks on,
Yes.
and they're all folks who don't mind coming in, turning over tables in the temple,
Mm. Wow, wow,
you
wow.
know.
Yes. Well, kudos to you and
Thank you.
Kat. I mean, that's great work right there. And I'm sure, if people come on and subscribe to the podcast, go back and listen to the episodes, like and share. I mean, all of those things just help to continue the conversation. So let's make sure we
Absolutely.
support.
Thank
But
you.
but balancing a demanding legal career with your creative entrepreneurial endeavors and co-hosting conversations with Karen and Kat, I'm sure it requires a significant time management, in just handling all these various passions and priorities. So how do you, some strategies in regards to how do you balance it all?
So I have to be honest.
Hmm.
I have a wonderful partner in my husband
Oh, wonderful.
that if I said I wanted to go to the moon, he would be trying to figure out how to build a rocket ship.
Oh, I love that.
So if it were not for James
Hmm.
Green, I don't think I would be able to handle all of the balls that I have in the air because surely, if I've got two hands up, he's got two hands and a foot up, helping me juggle it, helping me juggle, all the balls in the air. And it's really because of our partnership that I'm
Yes.
able to do the things that I'm doing.
Hmm.
And our kids are now in college, our younger kids and our older kids are out of the house,
Hmm.
married. Um, but even throughout our marriage, he has been at every step of the way a partner.
Yes.
That means like when the kids were little, he did as much with the kids as I did besides nursing them. You know, he literally did everything. He was very hands-on parent, and he's very hands-on with the Kosia Hosi. He's very hands-on helping us with the podcast. When we first started doing the podcast, he was our
Hmm.
technical guy. He was doing the videoing. He was the technical guy. So anything that I any other balls that I throw into the juggling act, he's there helping me.
I
So
love
it
that.
it really is because of him. And then just being determined and
Hmm.
clear
Hmm.
about my intentions,
Hmm.
then I find the energy to do what it is that I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at this stage in my life, I'm very clear on who I am and what my purpose is
Hmm.
in this life.
Ah.
And so with that, I'm able to get those things done. And I have learned the power of no. And
Mm.
plate is when my cup has run low and I'm
Hmm.
and and if I can't serve from my overflow, then I have to say no to some things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Protecting yourself first and the
Yes.
balancing of your life. And, I'm sure the spiritual side of just
Yes.
making sure you have that time, but having that partner in your corner, I know everyone doesn't have that, but, just putting yourself first, I'm sure is just, and making time for you to,
Yes.
to have the
And learning
time.
how to say no if
And
if your plate is too full.
that's right.
Learning how to turn some things down. I'm very involved in several ministries at my church, and then
Mhm.
they asked me to like run again for another office, and I was just like, because I knew I had a Kosia Hosi coming up. I was like, this is not the time because that launch phase you have to be all in. So I
Mhm.
knew that I had to step back from
Yeah.
some things
Yes.
and do the things. But that means I had to be true to me and do what was true for me in this season for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like you said, that clarity of even knowing that you just described is
Yeah.
pivotal. So that's brilliant. That's awesome. Great advice. So looking throughout your journey, you undoubtedly have encountered incredible women. Is there a particular woman in your life, a mentor, family member, friend, or even a historical figure who played a pivotal role in inspiring you or helping you overcome barriers or encouraging you to stay on track towards your big goals? And what impact did she have on you?
Oh, my mother.
Yes.
Ruth Lee Ross Scott. She's been gone now for 5 years, her and my
Oh.
father, but my mom was my
Mm-hmm.
biggest cheerleader, and she is the example for me
Mm-hmm.
of finer womanhood. She was not a Zeta, but she
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't Greek. She didn't go to college. My
Okay.
mother was a beautician. She
Mm-hmm.
owned her own salon. My mother was very involved in several community organizations. She was involved in like the Ladies Auxiliary to the VFW that my father was a member of since the 60s. She was when he was a volunteer firefighter. She was a member of the Ladies Auxiliary to that. She was active in our church,
Mm.
from being a Sunday school teacher to the financial secretary. So I saw her do a lot of things and with grace
Mm.
and being our biggest. I have two other siblings, but she was the biggest champion of all three of us. Like this woman thought we were like the greatest thing ever. And that is so empowering when your
Yes.
parents, are behind you and support you on the things that you want to do.
Mhm.
And there was never a time that I said that I wanted to, do something like I want to go to law school, I want to do this, I want to move to Georgia. Okay, all right. Like my mother was literally the mother who would like have had a bake sale to like
To
you
make
know,
sure it
yeah,
happened.
like selling some plates, to make sure that it happened. And
Yeah.
so she for me is the example that I strive to be
Mhm.
when it comes to um, my modeling myself after as a woman, as a wife, as a
Yes.
mother,
Yes.
and so I want to be half the woman that she was.
Oh.
And I want to be half the woman that she saw in me. Like
Mhm.
she thought we were great. She literally like my mom really thought we were just like her three kids were just like the best thing ever.
I love
Like,
it.
you know, and I try to parent with that same I
Reverence.
that yes, yeah. And I'm always telling my sons like you're great, you're handsome, you're smart.
Yeah.
You can whatever it is that you want to do. Like
Mhm.
what if you don't want to go to college, that's fine too. Just figure out what it is that you want to do, and then keep going for it.
Yes.
But I just and I hope that at the end of my life,
Mhm.
my children can have the same reverence for me that we
Yes.
have for and had that we
Mhm.
have for our had for our parents.
And
Yeah.
that's what legacy truly is all
Yes.
about. That's what the legacy that you pass on, what you just showed your mom in that honor.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So
It
that's
really is.
beautiful. Yeah.
Because, I'm Christian. But what people forget that Christ's life was about love. He
Mm-hmm.
came to show us love. And
Yes.
if we're not showing love to the people in our life, this life is all about how we can be of service to others, how we're
Mm-hmm.
loving and leading with the people in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I want my life to be about. Like,
Yes.
did I show love
Yes.
in
Yes.
everything that I did and in folks that I encountered? That's what
Mm-hmm.
I want. That's what I hope my legacy is. That I
Oh,
led
thank
with
you.
love, that I showed love and showed compassion when I met people and had an encounter with them.
Hmm. I'm
Yeah.
on the same page, Soror. I really am. I always, this is another moment where my favorite quote comes into place: human beings being human.
Yeah.
And if humanity just took precedence over all, then imagine the world we'd live in.
I,
Imagine.
I when you it's mind blowing when you think about if every person who
Mhm.
you encountered, who I encountered, if we treated people with this loving kindness, with
Yes.
humanity, and
Hmm.
saw them and met them for who they are and where
Hmm.
they were, how
Yes.
different our interactions would be,
I
how
know.
different our government would govern.
Hmm.
Like if you truly, if this government truly saw each person
Hmm.
the humanness in
Hmm.
them
Hmm.
and governed accordingly,
Hmm.
legislated
Hmm.
accordingly,
That's right.
wanting what was best for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would
It's really kind of mind blowing,
Mhm.
mind boggling. That's it's because it seems so simple. However, very, very, very complex.
Yeah, like my dad used to say, common sense is not so common.
Amen. So, for women who are navigating multiple passions or considering launching a new creative, entrepreneurial, or communicative endeavor alongside an established career, what one piece of advice or wisdom would you give them in encouraging them and drawing, that multifaceted experience with all the things that you do?
um, I would say one, move in silence. You don't need to let
Mm.
everybody know what you're getting ready to do. And
Mm-hmm.
then secondly, align yourself with people who have expertise in whatever it is that you want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And then get a coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get a coach.
Great, 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 great. Great. advice.
Yes.
I concur. Yes.
Definitely the move in silence, because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than telling your dreams to someone and you tell them to someone that's a dream
Killer.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And before you even start, they've planted seeds of doubt.
That's
So
right.
you don't need to, you may not need to share your vision with everyone. And then when it's up and running, or when you're at the end and you're getting ready to launch, then you can say, hey, I'm doing this on X, Y, and Z day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Ugh, that's perfect. Perfect advice. So what's a simple everyday pleasure that consistently brings a smile to your face and reminds you of the good things in life?
Oh, good food. Good
I love
food.
it.
Ooh. Like so this is, I'm vegetarian.
Hmm.
So when I find like a really good, I'm vegan, not vegetarian, I'm sorry. So when I find a really good spot that makes vegan food and they
Mm.
make a dish that I love, like it makes my soul happy. So there's an Indian restaurant that my husband and I order
Ooh.
from that is only takeout. And
Okay.
so it's only takeout and we order some dishes from there, but it's so good. And it literally,
Wow.
after I finish eating, I'm just like, oh, it was so good.
I call that a drop your fork moment.
Yeah.
That was
Like
just over the top.
it doesn't take a lot. Like
Yeah.
good meals make me
Hmm.
happy. Just,
Ooh.
and being with, and I would have to say, spending time with people who get me, who I
Hmm.
don't have to be anything other than caring with.
Hmm.
Just folks who get me. So my people, my tribe,
Yeah.
you know, um,
Hmm.
my family, spending time with them. Yeah, that makes me happy.
It's
It
awesome.
doesn't take much.
Doesn't take
It
much.
doesn't take much. Good food, family, and friends.
I tell you. I
Those
mean,
are my must-haves.
it's so amazing how, my experience in choosing Zeta Phi Beta was interesting at Ohio State back in the day because I'm old,
Mhm.
but I tell you, I evaluated all of them. And what what drew me to Zeta Phi Beta was this feeling of home, in conversation. And I tell you, I feel that way today with
Yes.
you. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being
Thank you. I
you.
appreciate that. I appreciate
Yes.
that. That's what drew me to Zeta as well, that
Mm-hmm.
they were very warm,
Yes.
very genuine.
Yes.
And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Just good folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just good
good heart.
folks.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about your, where the listeners can find you, and you want to maybe run back through that a little bit in regards to your social handles, and of course, your information will be at attached to this podcast when we launch on Wise Women Do as well.
And so if you go to acosiahosi.com,
Mm-hmm.
you can find all of our social media handles. They will have our IG page, Facebook, and our TikTok account.
Yes.
And if you go to karenandkat.com, you can find all the places where you can find our podcast, and our social media handles will be there as well. So those two places, acosiahosi.com and karenandkat.com. And then also, I forgot to mention,
Yes.
my son number two, my second son, who's a junior at Savannah State
Okay.
University, he and I wrote a children's book entitled
Wow.
Anthony's Red Cape. And it is about his autism journey when we first told him that he was on the spectrum when
Mm-hmm.
he was 7 years old, and some of the challenges that he went through. And you can find that book at mkpublishing.org. Again, that's mkpublishing.org. And we intend to write a series
Mm.
about some of the things that he dealt with as a small child, and some of the challenges that he had, and how he learned how to navigate through those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to put that out in the world. And April is Autism Acceptance Month. So this is why we launched MK Publishing in April.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yes. And that, that just connects to so many people, especially in our communities. And I'm sure that they could definitely benefit from the book, the children's book. What a wonderful gift that you're giving the world. So
Thank
thank you
you.
again.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure speaking with you, and you've been very inspiring to our listening audience. And I'm just thrilled to have had this time with you, Miss Karen Scott-Greene. Thank you again for being in here with Wise
Thank
Women
you,
Do.
Soror.
All right. Take good care. Until next time.
All right.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.